what does ideal relationship look like? What does ideal health look like? And to me, that's something that in our, especially in Singapore or in most part of the world, right? Nobody talks about ideal. Everybody talk about maximize. You go maximize this, maximize that, and that's where the sacrifice happen. Ideal is different. Yeah.
When you first and throughout your talk, there's so much things that come to my mind. I'm really hearing it very intently. And even though you have actually summarized very shortly, I'm sure the intensity of the journey was like really, really a lot.
It was the best of my life and the worst of my life.
When you make that switch, that is something I could really ask you about. When you make that switch, right? And even you're so strong into it, right? You never changed, you never wavered in your decision making to actually take on as the sole licensee for Singapore and then now Asia Pacific
region. Yes.
Yeah. So I just want to know, you talked about the tough parts. What are these tough parts that you had to go
there are
through,
many.
especially the introduction of the business, the first aspect?
I think one of the toughest part is, which is what we support our client with, is to look at my result as a leader. When I don't get what I want and when my result doesn't flow, I think the toughest part is to look at myself. Which is what a lot of people are not willing to look at. The toughest part is because it's so easy to, whether it's in relationship or in, it doesn't matter. Every result in our life. Like for example, let me give you an example, share with you an example that might be relatable to most people. So, in a lot of us have been through many different relationships before, as an example, but it's actually the same thing that plays out across the board. So I used to be very unhappy. I had a successful career, but I was very unhappy in my relationship. And the very thing I don't want, I repeated in my relationship. The very thing I say to myself, I don't want to be like my parents, quarreling every day over this, over that, fight. Guess what? That's the kind of relationship I created as an adult. So I was very unhappy in my relationship. I didn't know why. Very underexpressed, and so I didn't understand. I didn't know why I was having that kind of relationship. And of course, when I'm in it, right? When I was in it, I'll be blaming my partner that they are like this, they are like that. And then, by the way, my first one of my second relationship wanted to break up with me in Paris. That was my first Paris experience. Supposed to be a romantic place, right? But someone wanted to break up with me. That's so I can laugh now. It wasn't laughable when I was in it. So yeah, and I was so miserable. It feels like everyone else's life was perfect except for mine. And I'm sure this is something that a lot of people can relate to.
At which stage did that happen? When you first started the business, after you started the business?
No, long before. That was when I was in my early 20s.
Oh, you actually felt that, I like the word you use, underexpressed. You cannot.
Oh, it's very underexpressed.
Can you tell me what is that? How does
underexpressed?
That? Yeah.
Underexpressed meaning I couldn't say what I wanted to say. When I'm upset, I can't say I'm upset. I just pull a long face, and then I couldn't ask for what I want. Even when I was unhappy, I couldn't say I was unhappy, and then I can't be truly happy because I wasn't happy. So there's so many things that I can't say to the people around me that is that I felt stuck, and then. So it's just that's underexpressed. You can't share what you really want to express.
At which point in your life you felt that you could express?
After working on myself, after working on my leadership, after working with GOLDZONE to understand what's in the way of my expression. I initially thought that my lack of expression is because I wasn't very fluent with my English. Because growing up, I tend to be more comfortable speaking Mandarin, and I would surround myself with Mandarin speaking friends. So I thought that, maybe it's my language barrier, but it's not, and it's entirely not true. The language only formed part of the barrier, but it's not the root cause of why I wasn't able to express myself. So it was when I attended GOLDZONE program that I realized why I was the way I was and why I was unhappy. understand the root cause, and from there I just work towards the solution. It didn't change overnight, just to be clear. So even till today, there are areas that I'm not as expressed as I could, but I'm way better than when I was 20 years ago, because that was when I started my career, well, 20 over years ago when I started my career.
So when you started GOLDZONE as your enterprise, this is your first enterprise that you actually start and manage.
Yes, correct. So biggest challenge is
difficult. Yeah. Now, what are the challenges?
Difficult.
Can you list out
like
challenges?
I would say the few challenges would be, the biggest challenge is to look at myself, my own responsibility as a leader. That's why I use the relationship as an example. It's easy to blame other people. It's easy to blame partners, employees. Oh, they are like this, they're like that, they didn't perform and all that. But, I'm sorry, it's a lot of time, it still come back to the part of me that, which part of the whole result am I not seeing that is causing the lack of results? I wouldn't say problem, but it's the lack of result. So I would say that's probably the biggest challenge. Yeah. Second is the lack of confidence in one of the things growing up is that I had a lot of self-doubt in myself. So I'm very fast in learning, but emotionally I tend to be more insecure. I tend to believe in other people more than myself. So self-doubt. So I'm not actually, so when I talk to people, right, I don't actually show as much confidence as I could if I were to be myself. So that's one thing that might not be that's the other ugly hues I have, because over all these years, right, I noticed that a lot of people believe in PR more than your actual capability. So then I got to allow myself to be able to, when I say PR, as in allow myself to say something, to be able to own my capabilities more than just be trying to be lower than my actual capability. So that's the other challenge I have.
What's the third challenge?
I would say the third challenge would be working with investors. Not easy, because sometimes you get delays. Sometimes you have we actually have we are continuing with our project through capitalizing the project. So sometimes things might not go your way, and investor might not get their return immediately or as per the agreed timing. So then you got to explain to them.
And because as an entrepreneur and someone who actually founded the enterprise that you had to raise funds from the beginning. It means that you have to make your pitches to the investors and then maintain that kind of relationship. So difficult during that stage about penetrating to the group of investors and getting your funds at that stage, at the early stage.
Sorry, your question is
at the early stage, because you're talking about investors, right? So at the early
correct.
Investors, what were the challenges?
Well, my story is a bit more complicated, because I had some previously I had also pitched another project to some of my close investors. So my challenges would be, and that project happened to have some not go the way we wanted. So it impacted the trust with me also. So that's why for me, right, I got a clean slate from that part of the project when including my own money, by the way. So I actually putting a lot of money in the other project. So then I basically got to start from ground zero. That will be my part of my challenge at the beginning.
Throughout the things that you say, there's so much things I'm actually learning from your story. The challenges, I'm very sure if there is ever a chance that we can actually cut different pieces of your story to actually share in one confidential way that you think you can share. And also another part whereby you could bring in some of the things that your own company, GOLDZONE, has transformed yourself, that you are the best spokesperson because you are transformed, you believe in it, that's why you're passionate about it, and that's why you're a champion, you're the best champion and the best person to tell people about it, not just because of the ROI or the revenue. Of course that comes in because you believed in it, but really because you have been transformed. And I think that would be experience that we can talk about.
Well, it's a
So I
very
think at this point I want to thank so much Victoria Dior for your preview. I hope that this is the preview of the next sharing that you could talk about, either how Gold Zone has transformed you, that you can share with viewers. Because as a woman entrepreneur, as a woman, plus as a woman entrepreneur, plus a woman is going through relationship challenges, you know, you have all these kind of things that impacts a woman, especially why a woman? Because for me, I would think that there's this thing called the time frame. You know, time is always working against a woman. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. But I always have that in the Asian context, you know, you're told that, oh, your mom will tell you, hey, you know, you're at this age, you know, the biological clock or whatever thing, the time is always against a woman. That the world is always not favorable to a woman. Probably, you know, it's something that
for most, culturally we are being.
The world has to really debate about it. But you know, if there's some point in time that you feel comfortable for our viewers,
I can talk about it now too.
Yeah.